Welcome back to another episode of Ops Owners. I'm your host, Cannon Spears. I'm joined today by Bob Shenefelt. Really happy to have Bob with me today. Bob is a visionary coach. He's the founder of the Visionary Forum and is a former EOS implementer who's helped countless entrepreneurs find clarity and connection, and wrote the book Unscatter the Chatter. Excited to talk about that and just your background and systems and frameworks. Really excited to have you here, Bob.
Good. Glad to be here, Cannon, and excited to have a good conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we love here. Okay, tell me about why don't you start with the Visionary Forum, and then maybe work your way backwards. We can go into EOS. Would love to chat about that. We could chat about the book.
Sure.
But start with the Visionary Forum. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I've never felt like so I'm even going to go farther back and then forward and then back. I just like to be a little fun here. But I've never really felt like I fit in. Didn't love school. Just kind of dreaming a lot, and all sorts of possibilities. And then kind of got into college where it's like, okay, maybe there isn't this crazy cool miracles that could happen. And went through the motions, graduated, got a job. Okay, great. I can sell. I like to have fun and I can innovate or inspire. And then I went higher up in companies, and then they made a mistake of moving their best salesperson into a sales manager role. And
Okay.
I'm not a good manager. I don't like to hold people accountable. I don't
Yeah.
want to have to remember. I don't have to remind.
Yeah.
And I also, as I was doing that, I saw gaps in the industry. And so I said, well, why don't I start my own company? So started my own company, grew it out of control, met a guy named Gino Wickman almost 30 years ago through EO. We became best friends. I sold his first client for EOS 20 some years ago and became his third client. And
Nice.
getting to your question here, but what I've realized is, yes, we visionaries, we love to grow things, but sometimes we grow it out of control. And I used to avoid structure like the plague, but Gino helped me to realize that structure around what matters most and who matters most actually not only is productive, but allows me the creativity and innovation and just the different craziness that goes on within that structure. So EOS helped to bring a lot of that structure in, but also not EOS, but a lot of us visionaries felt kind of shoved out of our company with so much process and structure. So to me, it's an and. We need the structure to grow, and we need to also be the creative, free spirit that we visionaries thrive in. So long-winded to kind of bring it to this is I realized EOS is amazing, but there hasn't really been a place that I found to hang out with other visionaries. So we created the Visionary Forum. I've been coaching visionaries for 20 some years.
Host Bob.
Combination. It's not just the visionary seat. It's the spirit of the visionary, the person. My wife is married to a visionary, which isn't probably all shits and giggles for her. And I'm like, what's wrong? Let's go and have fun. So I realized that not only hanging out with other visionaries helped me, but we're learning together to, Gino created EOS to help entrepreneurs get everything they want out of their lives. And I'm helping, and our group is helping visionaries to get everything out of their business is what Gino created. I'm helping to help visionaries, which not all entrepreneurs are visionaries, to get everything we want out of our lives. And many of us have been, we started our companies and we've been holding on tight. And now that we have systems in place and people, which is amazing, what do I do now? And what it is to be the crazy visionary that is about relationships and passion and ideas and seeing gaps and everything. So the Visionary Forum, we help people to belong, to feel like we belong, because most of the visionaries, I have a podcast, Viva La Visionary, and a lot of the visionaries are like, I never really felt like I fit in. And so even with the structure of something like EOS, sometimes we feel like we still don't fit in. And yet it was built for visionaries, for us to realize our vision. So for us, it's to belong, transform, and serve our purpose are our three uniques. And it's basically this committed community to network for each other, to realize we're not alone, to cheer each other on, to be open and honest, and just fast feedback and whatnot. So the beauty is to, and as we talk about evolution and revolution, as we're growing, it's evolution. We hit the ceiling of complexity, it's revolution. But a lot of us are stuck on revolution. So it's really the combination of slow and steady and new ideas. So it's just been a
Hmm.
great peer group
That's great.
that's fun, and then we learn from each other and help each other to grow personally and professionally.
We were talking previously about how EOS is really, really good for like going like past startup phase, but into like the scaling phase. And then like there, in your experience, there comes a certain moment where companies kind of kick out the visionary and like, hey, we got this
Right.
under control. And then so that seems to me like that's the spot where the visionary forum comes in. Is like we will gladly welcome you with open arms.
Right.
We
And,
um
and that's where I coach not only visionaries, but a lot of times they're integrators, so the second in
mhm,
command, because literally, I felt like EOS empowers the rest of the employees, which is amazing, and yet sometimes it's like, oh, there goes Bob again, chasing squirrels, and and so literally in my first company, probably my third company, I said, you know what, I'm just going to stop coming up with ideas, and then I just didn't know what to do with myself. So again, like I
mm,
said before, it's an and. We need to have
mhm,
the structure, but also for me to have the freedom, to be the wacky visionary and come back without ideas or with ideas, but don't change every direction, every couple days.
yeah,
So we're on a good,
yeah.
but then I'm out there talking to you to say, oh, I never thought about this, or here's an idea. And then with my integrator and my leadership team, I can still talk about these great ideas, but they help to discern which ones make sense. Most of us visionaries, at least not me, I'm not good at discerning. I've got 20 ideas and I think they're all great.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
is that combination, because yeah, a lot of times visionaries are like, well, I'm being put out to pasture, and EOS does not say that at all.
Yeah.
But a
Right.
lot of times people are like, yeah, Bob's crazy, he's the one who put us in this situation, and it's like, yeah, but if you don't have a visionary, we're gonna slow down and maybe not grow and maybe revert backwards.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense to me. In my previous role, kind of found that weird dynamic of like the visionary is the idea guy, like he is constantly coming up with ideas, and then my role as the interim integrator was like, okay, let's discern, let's kind of like let's look at these ideas.
Right.
Um, I think it's important for visionaries to have that soundboard for just constant ideas, because that might not be the best place for the
Right.
integrator, because that is going to exhaust the integrator, because like the integrator is focused on let's run the company, let's make this work. The visionary gets a lot of energy from the possibility and the potential about we could go this direction, we go this direction. And so that seemed like the visionary forum seems like a really, really great place for visionaries to have that soundboard and have that energy that they crave and they feed off of
Right.
to get and give ideas.
Well, and when we're more in a startup phase, we often just run with these crazy ideas, and some of them catch on. But then again, sometimes we get stifled, where again, there needs to be a safe space and a sacred space for me to hear myself think. And if I don't, otherwise, it's just chatter in my head. It's going
Yeah.
back and forth. So that's where ultimately the integrator needs to give me time to feel like I'm heard. Dr. Doug
Hmm.
Brackman wrote a book called Driven, and there's about 8% of us that are biologically different. And we are passionate, and we get bored easily and have imposter syndrome in a lot of ways, which I tried to deny for a while. But
Mm.
if I don't feel heard, I don't feel valued, and then I'm not worth a whole lot. So even if you hear me say, hey, what if we tried that? And you're like, oh my God, that's a great idea. Does it make sense right now? Or should we look at that next quarter? Or let's do a little bit of a test on that before we change the direction of the company.
Yep.
But if I get shut down every time, I'm going to stop coming up with. And again,
Yep.
even if we come up with the ideas, it's ideas either coming through me or through conversations. So it
Yeah.
is that art and the balance of me coming to you and saying, what if we try this? And you're like, well, Bob told me to do that. I'm like, no, I just said, let's talk. What it's an idea, So, but that's where if we understand, okay, I'm coming as a visionary. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just here to brainstorm. So I've learned to say, hey, when can we talk about this? Next
Yeah.
Tuesday. Okay, fine. Okay, you don't have to do anything with this idea, even
Yep.
though you're thinking about, well, how are we going to implement it? What's going to take? Like, it's just an idea, and don't do anything unless you talk to your boss, because I don't want to be
Yeah.
blamed for it. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. And I think that's really wise. It's like, let's be very structured, and this is the framework for this type of conversation.
Right.
Like, this is not a doing conversation. This is a brainstorm conversation. And so from the beginning, like, we are all on the same page. This is just idea mode
Yep.
to brainstorm. Let's not discern right now.
And that's the role of the integrator, and that's why it's tough to find. Integrators are tough, and they have a tough job. I would not want that job for the world. But it's so they need to make sure they're integrating the vision and staying on track, and give me space and time to. And again, that's what we call a same page meeting. So it's once a week,
Yeah.
once every 2 weeks or whatever, where I have this great idea and I want to bug you, but it's like, you know what? I don't want to interrupt you, so just capture it. And next Tuesday we're going to talk about it. And or it
Mhm.
might be like, oh my God, we are so screwed. It's like, okay, take a deep breath. And but I need that outlet, and to have an integrator. I actually have not had a good integrator for a while, and didn't think I needed it. We're kind of in startup mode with the Visionary
Mhm.
Forum and the summit and whatnot. And but my original integrator is available and just came on board last Friday. And oh my God, the weight of the world is off my shoulder, because she's really good at letting me speak and think. And even when I hear an idea, sometimes I'm like, ah, that doesn't make sense. But otherwise, it just gets stuck up here. So literally, that's the chatter
Yeah.
that I talk about in the book. That it's like, okay, how do I unscatter that and get it out of my head so I don't drive myself crazy?
Yeah, I love it. I do want to get to the book, but
Yeah,
I wanted to. You said the three uniques of the Visionary Forum were
yeah.
belong,
Love, transform, and serve
transform,
your purpose. So that's
serve your purpose.
our niche.
Okay.
How we do it is through authentic connection and real dialogue and access to wisdom. So authentic connection is we're not just bullshitting and say, hey, how the Tigers doing today? It's
Sure.
what's going on in your life. And people are like, oh my God, I got payroll due next week. Or, oh, I have this huge client coming on. And then it's so the connection with the individuals, and that we're connecting not only with each other, but I'm connecting you with other people. And then real dialogue is, again, getting to a lot of times people avoid what their emotions are. And it's like, let's be open and honest. And then access to wisdom. Almost every issue that comes up, or topic or opportunity, someone's like, I don't know how to solve that, but I probably know someone who does. And so that is the access to wisdom for people who've done it before. So it's, and we talk about, we network for each other, not to each other. And our rally cry is Viva la Visionary, long live the visionary. And then our kind of what we do is with visionaries unleashing visionaries. So it's just amazing how quickly we talk about things, we mirror for each other, we connect to each other, and we want to help each other. And oh, by the way, we have a little bit of fun.
Yeah. That's important. You
Right?
said you mentioned three. You said real dialogue, access to wisdom, and what was the third one? The first
It's
one.
authentic connection, real dialogue, and access to wisdom. Yep, that's
Love it.
how we. Those are our three uniques. Yeah.
How you accomplish your three uniques?
Right. So the niche. So what we do is to belong,
Yes.
transform, and serve our purpose. And then how we do
Okay.
that is through authentic dialogue, real connection, and access to wisdom.
Perfect. Love that. Um, you went into some details, but how, like, I'd love to hear more. Like, what does that look like on a daily basis, practically, within the group setting?
So it's really not daily, other than the connection. So again, we've got a
Right.
community where it is, and I've never belonged to a fraternity, but if someone from the forum calls, you call them back.
Yeah.
We are a committed community, and so we are there for each other. But the ongoing thing is we have Zoom meetings twice a month. One where it's a workshop. We bring in a thought leader who's a visionary to help us to, improve our lives or improve our business. And then once a month we have a Zoom where we have a provocative thought. We call it a burning question. And then we break into small groups to basically do a check in and how can we support each other. And then we also have networking events. So happy hours, we call them connector links. And then we have a thing called the Visionary Summit. We do it twice a year. That's a 3-day workshop, deep dive, where we really get into it. Where at the end of that, people are like, what just happened? And sometimes there's a tear and a smile, and it's like, well, it's really called connection, community, love, again, feeling heard.
Hmm.
And so it is that, that committed community, and it's an amazing thing to be a part of.
And so, I mean, going back to what you said, Gino with EOS, the original, the intent was changing the business owner's business, right?
Helping the entrepreneur get everything they want out of their business.
Out of their
Right.
business. Whereas the Visionary Forum and the Visionary Summit is helping the entrepreneur get everything they want out of life. And so to me,
Correct.
the differentiator there is, and just everything you just said, like the community, like it's so much more than just the business sphere.
Right.
It's a lot more broad and
Oh,
looking more holistic is another
yeah. Yeah, and EOS does
buzzword.
a great job in Rocket Fuel talking about the seat of the visionary. So, what are my
Right.
roles and responsibilities in the business? But what we're talking about is the person. I'm not just a
Mhm.
visionary at my office. I'm a visionary in my marriage. I'm a visionary as a
Yep.
dad, as a coach.
Sure. Yeah.
And so it's the person and it's the spirit of the visionary. We
Mm.
visionaries are a little bit, not more or less or better or worse, but tapped into just kind of crazy ideas that may or may not make logical sense, but some of them are actually worth something. And so to celebrate that and the funkiness and the uniqueness that really started our business. And so a lot of times, again, with too much process, all work and no play makes Johnny a dull boy, I think Jack Nicholson said.
Yep.
Uh, and so, but we got to keep it fun and we got to keep it light. And again, there's a lot of visionaries who are like, I'm not really having fun. And that's one of our superpowers. And fun is trying new things. Now, left to our own, we might have fun and run out of money. And I've
Yeah.
come close to that many times. But it's like, can we at least try things, and do things differently? So it's the art and the science of process and creativity and structure and intuition, so it's the combination of the two.
Okay. Okay. Tell me more about the book, Unscatter the Chatter. Tell me more about that.
So yeah, the book. So Gino and I, we've known each other for nearly 30 years, and as we were in EO together, Landmark Forum together, Strategic Coach together, I was a client of his, he was a client of mine. As we found amazing teachings, he thought, how can he tie it into the business? And I was like, how can I tie it into my life?
Yeah.
So again, he helped me to realize the value of structure in the business. And then I started to realize, okay, maybe there's value to structure in my life. I used to say, I'm just going to wing it and it's all going to be wonderful. And that's cool. But to have some structure to know and act like I matter. Too often I'm doing things to help you and our clients and my team and whatnot. So am I taking care of myself mentally, physically, spiritually? So we created, my wife and I created this book for me because I've been called scattered. So my thoughts are all over the place. I'm all over the place. So for me to put in principles, practices, and tools and a structure, kind of like we do for the business in my life. And so too often I'm like, well, I'll get to that and I'll work out later and I'll meditate someday. And yet I've realized that it's when I slow down and take care of myself and listen to what's going on in here and from here, it's
Mm-hmm.
amazing. So
Yeah.
it's not only just the ideas I'm getting and talking with you, it's when I'm quiet and the ideas come through me to say, ooh, well, what if we did this? Or we could solve this problem. Or what if I connected this person? It's magic. And,
Mm.
I've spent most of my life with passion and rushing and high energy. And I'm realizing, A, it gets tiring. And B, I drive people a little bit crazy. So as I slow down and I've got an amazing team and my wife and I have an amazing marriage, it helps to have tools to do that. So we've created different tools in here for any relationship. So it's creating great relationships. It's choosing your attitude. So again, if something doesn't happen the way I want it to, it's for the best and it's going to work out. But too often I'm like, oh, we're so screwed. Or what about this? It's realizing what matters most. And that changes over time. It's to clarify who I am as a person, to follow my North Star. What's my purpose? And then to live my legacy now and to be regardless. And again, that's to be present. Too often I'm living in the future and looking over you to say, wait, who's behind Connor? Because he might have a bigger deal for me. But to be present right now is amazing. So it's, again, it's principles, practices, and tools to live a great effing life.
I You're teasing me a little bit. I want to hear. I want to hear some of these. I want to hear some of these tools. Just what one tool or framework or structure from the book maybe means the most to you, or maybe is the most practical or usable for the visionary.
So I'll give you three.
Okay.
I call it making time. So making time for the most important person in my world, and that's me. No offense to
Mhm.
my wife, but if I'm not whole, I'm probably not a great husband or a great father or a great leader in my business. And so the three free tools are to make time for myself is to create a safe space. So I talk about that where it's the rules of engagement for creating a great relationship. And so that's to be aware of verbiage, to listen, to understand, and not respond. And ultimately, so the verbiage side is to not to eliminate the words should and better and
Okay.
exaggerations. So if you say, "Hey Bob, you should do it this way," I'm like, "Well, screw you. I'm doing the best I can." Or here's a better way to do it. I and a lot of visionaries are big on verbiage. So
Hmm.
to eliminate that and change it to, "Hey, I tried it this way," so to share with your experience, to and then exaggerations. Bob, you're always late. I'm like, I'm not always late. I was home on time last Tuesday, and so, but to change it to say, "Hey, if you say 4 o'clock, say what time you're going to be home." And don't exaggerate, or it's not. I'll get it to you in a day, and it's like, oh my God, I'm exaggerating too much. So to be aware of verbiage, and then I change that, I shift that conversation with you, and I'm practicing with you on how to have a great relationship. Then I shift the verbiage in my head, because the
Hmm.
biggest bully I've ever met is me to myself. And that's, oh, I should have told Cannon this, and oh, there's
Hmm.
a better
Hmm.
way to do this, or I'm
Hmm.
always late. So the conversation is huge. So that's being aware of verbiage, to
Okay.
listen and not respond. And so to not interrupt you and to truly listen to understand and not respond is big, because I like to cut to the chase and I interrupt to try to validate your point, but then I'm not respecting you. And then the third way to create safe space is to speak from the I and from experience. So instead of saying, Cannon, you know how it is. Well, I don't know how it is for you, and you don't know how it is for me. But to say, here's what I heard, and for what I've understood in the past, here's what happened to me. So whether it's parenting or in the business or with my wife, to say, you should do your homework today. My kid is like, screw you. But if it's, hey, you know what? When I was a kid, I waited till last minute, and then I couldn't go out the night before, and I didn't get a very good grade. So here's what worked for me. And then they can choose to do that or not. Um,
Yeah.
so that's that. And then the two other tools are the Take Five check in, which is, I call it Take Five because it's spending about 10 or 15 minutes answering 8 questions, and then the why and the next step behind those questions. And so it's tapping into the conversation in my head. So I talk about, what are my biggest frustrations, why, and next step. What are my biggest dreads, the things I'm not looking for? What
Mm.
are some MIs going on in my head? Am I ever going to be on time? Am I ever going to make it? And so, and again, what I'm realizing is I'm using the words that aren't creating a safe space. So to say,
Sure.
you know what, I've been late in the past, but that was then. And then any ahas that have happened. I do the check-in once a week, usually on Monday mornings. Then I
Hmm.
flip it to the three biggest celebrations, the three biggest opportunities, my three biggest gratitudes, and my three biggest I'm sorry, my three biggest gratitudes and my three I am statements. So what it is, it's basically slowing down and checking in and having a conversation with myself, shifting the conversation. Then I do it out loud. I record that and I share it with key people in my life. So then I'm hearing myself think and
Mm.
feel, as opposed to filtering. So
Mm.
that's the Take Five check-in. It's great for oneself. It's great for couples. It's great for the visionary and the integrator. And then the last one is the 331, which is my daily meditation. I can't
Hmm.
sit and om for 60 minutes, or maybe I can. I just choose not to. But it's basically taking a couple minutes to say three. The first three is, what are the three things that matter most to me today? And it changes. What are the three most impactful action items that if I accomplish these or be these things today, it's a great day? And then my one is, if it were up to me, and it's an I am statement or two. And so when I just take, most of my days are great, but when I take 5 minutes and I make time for myself and I do the 331, okay, what matters most today is health. My son just had surgery today, so to make sure he's comfortable, it's helping people. So then those are the things that matter most. Then my top three action items. Then if it were up to me, and the I am statement calls it forth. So as I am successful, I'm enjoying a great day today. I'm grateful. So again, I'm shifting that conversation in my head, and then I share my take five with probably 20. I'm sorry, my 331 with probably 15 people a day. And so any
Mm,
worthy goal written down and shared is bound to happen. So what I
mm,
find is I usually do it around 6 in the morning, and that's my meditation. Then I look at these three things and go, you know what? If I knock these three things out, it's a great day. So I knock those out right away. I'm like, I've already had a great day. I can either go hang out with my wife for the rest of the day or get more things accomplished. But it's just really prioritizing the important things, not just the urgent things. So those are
yeah.
three tools that have been the biggest thing for me to slow down and to appreciate everything I have, shifting that conversation and making today awesome.
Yeah, and being intentional with
Totally.
making your day awesome. Yeah, and
Absolutely.
I really like that that mental shift of, I'm going to intentionally, it's more than just making a to-do list and kind of like, you know, being lax with it. It is very like, these are the three things that I need to do to win the day or to have a great day, and then you do them. And like, what does that do for you internally? Like your like, it boosts you, you feel more proud, like you're a person of integrity, like you do what you set out to do, and you do it, to your point, if you do it as quickly as possible, you have a really great day.
Right. As James
I
Clear
felt that.
talks about in Atomic Habits, yeah, it builds confidence. And this is a simple thing that it's like, wow, I am accountable. I do finish what I start and do what I say. And it's a lot of times it's, important things like to call my mom is one of my three. It's like, I don't have to call her today. I can call her tomorrow, but then it's the next day and the next day. Or it's sending 5 notes of gratitude.
Hmm.
It's tackling that tough project I've blown off that it's like, okay, I'm going to knock this out. And it's only three things. And people are like, well, I have 30 things to do. Yeah, but I might do 15 of those 30 and they aren't the most important always.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. No, I definitely relate to that. I want to take a moment and see in your circle. I'd like you to shout somebody out of the people in your circle in a recent conversation. What has been, who said this, and what has been a major takeaway that you've been able to apply to the Visionary Forum, the Visionary Summit, um, within the business sector? Who is somebody that has said something recently, and it doesn't, recently is subjective,
Right.
but how have you applied that?
So I'll call out Jamie Munoz, who is the
Way
visionary.
to go, Jamie.
Oh yeah, so she's Catalyst Integrators, fractional integrators. We were at a summit recently, and somebody was bringing up an issue they were having with a narcissistic partner. And
Okay.
and so it was a chance for this person to talk about what they were dealing with, and it was going to cost them a lot of money to end this relationship. And Jamie's like, I'm going to use the advice or experience share you gave me a year or two ago. It was an investment. And if
Mm,
you want to hold on to this thing that is, it's negativity, it's never going to end, and it's just sucking out the life of you each day. And it was an investment, and it might have been an expensive investment. And so it was really cool for the person who gave that advice to Jamie and then got it back, and then for us to hear it, because there's been so many things where I'm like, well, I'm already 100 grand in. I don't want to let it go. It's like, okay, I don't want to make it 150 and have it be
mm,
frustrating. So I think,
yeah.
to acknowledge that, hey, and it may not even be a mistake or a loss. I got something out of it, but make a decision. So again, I've often in the past said, well, we can make it work. We can make it work. And so for my team and I, or my wife and I, to say, okay, do we agree that at some point we're going to pause and not
Hmm.
tank us?
Yeah.
But that, and to not, again, humans beat ourselves up so much, and especially visionaries, that it's like, why did I do that? It's like, you know what? Hey, I tried something. It maybe didn't turn out the way I thought, and yet probably something is going to come of it at some point. And almost every anger, fear, and frustration is a learning opportunity. So as I get rid of the shaming of myself and just say, hey, I tried it. I mean, Babe Ruth hit a home run 1 out of 9 times he came up to bat. And so he struck out. He's like, well, only 7 more. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, shout out to Jamie. That was good. What is next for the Visionary Forum? Like what, whether it's a year, 3 years, 10 years, like what are you most excited about? The direction and the vision.
So I shared at the US conference for my 6th talk at the conference, and I'm usually speaking to visionaries or people that work or live with them. And I talked about the different stages of the visionary journey. And so it's a startup phase, and then a growth phase, and then a kind of a personal phase, and then a scalability phase. And that really struck a nerve with a lot of people. And I'm realizing so clearly, and I'm calling it the evolutionary entrepreneur. And
Okay.
so, if you have a startup, it's like, how do you go to the next level? First of all, is you had the courage to start it, and eLeap is a great resource for that. That's a book that Gino wrote. And then, okay, now I've got a business and I've got, a few employees and we're growing. Okay, I need a business operating system. So EOS is a great one for that. Then we hit the ceiling of complexity there where the entrepreneur or the visionary is like, wait a minute, what am I supposed to do? And we
Right.
call that letting go of the vine within EOS. And a lot of visionaries have a hard time letting go of the vine if they don't know how to live life beyond the vine. I've been
Sure.
doing this for 30 years, and I got to make payroll. And
Yeah.
Cannon might leave me. And it's just like, but now I've got these people and this team, so I can let go. But then what am I supposed to do? And that's when the Visionary Forum comes in, and the coaching I do with the book is that be you. And it's happy wife, happy life. But to me, it's also happy visionary, happy life. If I'm not happy, I'm not fun to be around. And I don't mean to be, too selfish and whatnot, but when I can just be in that freer space, and as David Hawkins talks about in Letting Go, as I'm at this higher vibration, this higher consciousness, it all kind of flows. When I'm caught in the day to day, I hate it, and I'm not fun. So that's the third phase, and then the fourth phase is to scale and or sell and grow. And so I call that the evolutionary entrepreneur. And so I've realized that I've been very revolutionary most of my life. And so that could be very polarizing, and it's a fight, and it's just constantly, in that, that survival mode and that growth mode to just like, you know what, I'm going to be evolutionary and to, again, show people these phases. And I've been through all of them and then gone back to the beginning.
Yeah.
It's like, but at least to be aware of it and say, okay, what were the lessons learned when either I was there before? So even, the Visionary Forum is a hobby that I just turned into a business recently. And so it's a startup. So I'm in the first phase.
Yeah.
So now it's time for me to implement a business operating system. I need an integrator. So as
Yeah.
I was clear with that, my integrator showed up, and then we're like, okay, now it's the life of the leader. My kids are grown up now. My daughter got married. My son's playing baseball in college. And so it's a new stage for me. And so to live my life with my wife and travel more and have more freedom. And then it's like, okay, maybe we can scale this thing and take it to another level. So it's kind of the hero's journey that we visionaries
Sure.
take. And so it's like everything is fine, and then I blow it up and go back to the beginning, which isn't terrible, but at least to shorten the learning curve as I go through it again and again.
Yeah, I mean, I like that. Like being aware of what phase or stage you're in can help really clarify the type of questions you ask, the type
Yeah.
of people you connect with, the direction you, and so you're not overreaching. Like you're not trying to be in one stage and act in one stage when you're really not. Like that's a clear clear path to burnout and headache.
Yep.
I can imagine.
And reinventing ourselves. And again, not always crazy, but again, for 25 years, my sole focus was my kids,
Yeah.
and I'm so proud of everything and so proud of who they are. And they're now kind of on their own. So now it's like, okay, I'm half done with my life. Okay, now Cheryl and I get to travel more. And I also I was an EOS implementer. I could help a leadership team in that business, which is awesome. I'm excited to help, hundreds of visionaries. And then how many people am I affecting?
Yeah.
And again, it's not just helping visionaries to be visionaries, it's helping visionaries to help others to have vision. Because my kids may or may not be visionaries, and I don't want to teach them. I don't know. And Gino says you can't be taught to be a visionary. But what's your vision for this podcast? What's your vision for your role? What's your vision for after school? And a
Yeah.
lot of people like, I don't even know. Well, start to think about it. What do you want? What could it look like? What does your goal look like? What does it look like at the end? And so not only are we, being visionaries ourselves, but helping other people to have vision. And it's
Yeah.
okay to fail and fall down, and that's life. That's when we learn the biggest lessons.
Yeah, that's why I love having visionaries on this podcast, because like there's so much, like I don't want to just shunt off half of like
Right.
the conversation on like and only bring on integrators and second in commands. Like I love talking about the systems and tactics, but I need the vision. Like I want to hear the vision as well, and so
Right.
I love it. It's all applicable. It's all applicable.
Well, and it's interesting. When Gino first set up the Integrator Mastery Forum years ago, I attended it. I'm like, I love that. And this is what I want to do with visionaries. He's like, have at it. I don't want to deal with it. And then I worked with in EO. They had a couple forums for second in command or integrators. And I sat with them and they're like, how do you guys think? And how do you, they were just so, they're just like, that is crazy. And I look at them, I'm like, why do you like being an integrator? And thank you. So again, and that's the perfect match, is to have the visionary and the integrator. And again, just to have Kim back in my life, it's like, holy smokes, what was I doing? And yet I wasn't trying to grow anything. I was still focused on my kids the last few years. So
Yeah. Good. Well, Coach Bob, tell me more about where people can go to find you, to get connected with you, to learn more about any of the number of initiatives that you're doing.
So if you go to imatter.com, you can pick up our book. There's information about the Visionary Forum, the Visionary Summit. I do, again, one-on-one coaching and group coaching with visionaries. I do a spiritual retreat I call Go to the Mountain, where I take people to the mountains of Colorado, and just to help people just to slow down and tap into the energy of the universe, and just to kind of get off the grid and just take a break. So if you go to imatter.com, you can get everything you need. And again, I'm just excited to be a part of the entrepreneur community and the EOS community, to learn and grow with them and offer support not only for visionaries but people that live and work with them.
Yeah, love it. Coach Bob, really appreciate you being here and sharing some of your insights and your background. There's a lot to learn, a lot to take away, so thank you.
And we did it all in one breath, which was kind of cool.
That's right.
All right.
That's right. And for all the listeners, absolutely, thank you. And all listeners, thank you so much for being here and joining, and looking forward to another episode. Appreciate you.
All right, peace.